Hey, good morning. It's been a while since I did a video post, and I thought, hey, today's as good a day as any to see your face. So you're looking good. Appreciate that. I don't even know why I said that. I don't know. But yeah, I thought I would do a post. And I've been thinking about what Nick Kristof said yesterday on the New York Times blog about, he did a post about John Stott and the evangelicals, and it really got me thinking about evangelicals, which I'm a part of that tribe, and our place in society, I wanted to think about this illustration, and so I did a series of drawings, and you'll get it. But I really started thinking about the church kind of being a subset of culture, and this foundational misunderstanding, I think, of really the very nature of Jesus' work in transforming and redeeming culture. And so I want to just use this as an illustration. In the youth ministry worlds, maybe you're familiar with this. Chap Clark and Kara Powell have used this thing. They call it the one-eared Mickey. Maybe you've seen this. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Is that it? Yeah. Okay, so the one-eared Mickey idea is that in youth ministry we've created a subset of the church as a whole, and you know, the youth group kind of has its own name, it has its own set of rules, and it has its own teachings, and it doesn't really operate within the greater church, and that's caused a bunch of problems, which we're all familiar with in youth ministry, and there's a lot of smart minds out there trying to fix it. And that really got me thinking about how we as evangelicals think of our place in the culture at large, and even just a foundational misunderstanding of cultural anthropology in thinking that this is kind of how the world works for us. Okay, we think of it like this, that you have culture, oops. You know, we have culture, and then the church is kind of this subset, this subculture idea, or we're a different culture. We're kind of a one-eared Mickey to the culture at large, and you see this all over the place. You know, I'm wearing a Christian culture T-shirt, right, Jedediah, and they try to cross over, but it's still, you know, foundationally a Christian company. And so on and so forth. We have whole industries, and people who, you have church people and you have non-church people, right? Just all kinds of stuff like that. And maybe that's why, you know, in Kristof's thing it talks about we're only in culture at wide, we're only familiar with he calls them the blowhards, the Pat Robertsons of the world, or the homophobes, or people kind of on the extremes, and we're not really aware of. You know, a third of religious people in America who identify themselves as evangelicals are not that way. And again, I think it goes back to a fundamental misunderstanding that within a culture, that a subculture is outside of that culture. And I remember even as a new believer being told, you know, you need to leave that culture behind, or you have sacred culture and you have secular culture. But as I got a deeper understanding, and as I studied Scripture, it revealed to me that in God's eyes, all culture is His culture. Jesus didn't come to redeem just the synagogue culture. He came to break down that barrier. He literally tore the veil between what was considered sacred and what was considered secular. Jesus hung out with prostitutes and tax collectors. The early church, Paul wrote, you know, there's neither Jew nor Gentile, male nor female, on and on. There's no divisions. There's not, God didn't set apart a holy people and then the rest of the world is unholy, kind of this is a very pre-Jesus way of looking at God and His people. Instead, what we have in society is this, right? We have our, you know, you have culture, and then within that you have a series of subcultures, and Christianity is really just one of them. But we're inside of the larger culture, and that's just how you look at it from a cultural anthropologic, or however you say that word. Right, in the study of cultural anthropology, that's how you look at it, is evangelicals are really just a subculture, and sub meaning inside. We're part of that culture. But strategically, as church leaders and as people who think about how Jesus' message can redeem our culture, we're constantly thinking, in order to redeem someone, I have to pull them out of their you know, I have to pull them out of this to get them to go into that. That's not it at all. Foundationally, that's a misunderstanding. What Jesus is really asking us to do is to go into our culture, right, and to infect our culture. Let's read the book of Acts. Sit down. I've challenged again and again. Sit down in one sitting and read the book of Acts, and what you'll see is, this, that instead of the one-eared Mickey view of culture, you have Jesus implanting a group of people who went into a bunch of different subcultures and infected them with the gospel, right? Like a virus. Okay, this other strategy of the one-eared Mickey, it's not going to work. Just like it doesn't work for youth ministry, it's not going to work for unleashing the power of the gospel in the culture at large. And so I guess that's what I'm thinking about today. You can agree or disagree, leave a comment. I'd love to see your comments. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm a theologian. But I think that there's something to this, and I think there's something to be explored about the irrelevancy that we see as evangelicals in the greater culture at large versus the relevancy of the power of the gospel in the culture that we were called to infect.